I was born on 13th June 1974, and I think my mother had 7 children, and she thought that she was already now very experienced, and she decided to deliver me at home. And I was born just in that house, which is still standing in the corner there. That's where my mother's room was. I'm told when I was born, I was a bubbly, crying baby. I had a good childhood. I don't always want to blame to have that thing that I grew up badly and I had suffered. No. Because I grew up in a house with electricity. I grew up in a house which had cement. I think when I was growing up, there was a tap of water in our compound. And when time came for school, I think fees was there. As you can see, the surroundings of this place, we had a lot of land around us, and my mother grew a lot of potatoes, grew a lot of cassava, grew a lot of beans, and we also had a banana plantation. But in Kabale, a banana plantation is something is quite rare. But for us, we have always had a banana plantation. I think now it is withering away. But when I was growing up, there was a banana plantation around us. So we didn't lack food. When the time came to go to school, there was no nursery school, so I did not have the chance to go to nursery school. But the primary school was waiting for me. But I went to primary school earlier than expected because I was crying every other time when my brother was going to school. And in 1980, my mother decided just to put me in school because I was disturbing her. Because I was disturbing her every time that I wanted to go to school. So around the 5.5 years, I started school. And my brother, Henry, took me to St. Mary's Boys Primary School, which probably you will see. And we reached there. Our headmaster of that time is still alive. He's called Luis Bazirake. He admitted us. Unfortunately, we were 2 boys. One is called Peter, a son of Babichi. He is from Manjari. I remember his father. Then Peter and I started playing. We were still very young. We started playing in headmaster's office, climbing his seat. But anyway, he allowed us, and I started P1. In P1, I didn't perform very well, and I didn't, because I was still very young. But I got marks enough to make me promoted to P2. In P3, I started performing well. The only problem I had was that I had a very poor handwriting, which has followed me up to today. I had a very poor handwriting, and there is a man called Keres who was very talented. Actually, he was from our village here. He had all the talents in his life. He was writing like a typewriter. He was the director of the band in our school. He was the coach of football. He was the coach of volleyball. He was a renowned referee. Whenever our drums of the band got problems, he would repair them using the skins of sheep. So he was a very talented man. So he couldn't allow people to write badly. He would rather leave school. So we used to write every day. Every time you enter class, he has a writing session, and he would put the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog, and that thing has all the letters. If you write the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog, all the letters are there. But he wanted us to write in a particular way in calligraphy, and I can assure you that I always either came second last or last in that session of writing. So time came, I had passed mathematics, I had passed everything, but writing was very poor. And then she came and told my mother, because she was from this village, that your son is very bright, but he writes very badly, so he's going to repeat P3. And my mother refused. I usually blame my mother that had I repeated because of writing, maybe I could be having a little bit a better handwriting than I have today. But that was it. And in P4, I started becoming the second, third, sometimes the first. Then in P5, I started becoming the first, almost naturally. Because I was still a kid, I've always been the youngest in my class. And I didn't know even how I could become the best in class. Because people would be reading, they would be having better handwriting. I would lose books almost every day. I would lose pens every day. But when time came for exams, I would come out to be the first. So it was like natural that I would be the first. And naturally, I continued to P7. In P5, there was a scenario which came up, and also again almost made me to lose my education. There was a broken window. So in that broken window, people used to climb there and enter class just out of fun. So I think it was a Saturday or a Sunday, and I was coming from church. I decided to enter through the broken window. The door had glasses on top, then down there was wood. So I climbed in the class and picked an old book, because there were books which were old and had been thrown around. Now someone saw me and said I had stolen a book, and came and reported to my mother. Goodness me. The canes I swallowed that day, and they could not hear that I was just picking an old book. This one implicated me that I had stolen a book, and it was terrible. And I overheard people, my mother and my old brother, saying they should take me to Kampirinjisa. I said, no, Kampirinjisa for what? Kampirinjisa is a remand home which was only in Uganda. And I said, but anyway, in the long run, they found I was very innocent, and I continued with my studies. So I continued very naturally. I remember towards the end of P7, I did not have a single book. I had lost all my books, notes. I think I was very, very careless and young. I had lost all my books. And I think I had also been pampered a lot because I'm the last born. So I lost all my books. When time came for reading, like the week to exam, I found I had no book to read. And now I started borrowing from friends, patching up here and here, what to read, revising with teachers. I managed to pull out a first grade. I was among the 3 people who got first grade in P7.
Wow.
So at that time, of course, it was a big deal to get a first grade in here. So I was always known as a celeb in as far as passing is concerned. Now I had 2 choices. I sat an interview to join St. Paul Seminary, and I passed it. Again, it was also a big deal to pass an interview to go to St. Paul Seminary. But the core of Butobere was calling also. I had also been called, admitted at Gezu College Butobere, which was also a very good school at that time. Overnight, I decided that I no longer wanted to be in the seminary, and I wanted to go to Gezu College Butobere. My mother couldn't hear anything of it. We were arguing for almost the whole week until I gave in, and I said, okay, let me go to St. Paul's.
You haven't told us about your dad by now.
Yeah, my dad had long gone, so it's somebody I have not grown up with. So I grew up with my mom. She brought me up all the time, and I prefer to hinge my life around my mother.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was admitted in 2 schools, St. Paul's and Gezu College Butobere. So Gezu College Butobere is I argued with my mother until I gave in to go to St. Paul's. Of course, St. Paul's was a very good school. It remains so. I think you saw it yesterday. That's the same culture we have grown in. Prayers every morning. Mass begins your day. Then you go to the refectory. You must go together. The bell goes, talala. You start, and you start eating or having breakfast. The bell goes again. You must all stop, say prayers, and leave the table. You must use a fork and a knife on the table. Each table has a table leader, and his word is almost final. And you serve. One person serves. Okay, you serve yourselves. You must not heap your plate. You must serve half the plate and leave some in the saucepan or the bowl. If you feel that you finish the food on the plate, you can add on, but you never heap and leave the food. We run a lot of table manners and etiquette at the seminary. So up to now, when I see another who doesn't know how to use a fork and a knife, I just say, okay, which school do they go to? And I say, oh, okay. It's not very important, but sometimes I worry. Then I also sometimes serving themselves food as if the world is going to end. That when they can actually go back and serve more. So those are basic things. Did you know that you are not supposed to offer a woman a hand? Yeah, yes. Etiquette doesn't allow it. When you are greeting a woman, you must remain like this until herself she offers a hand. If she doesn't, you must remain at attention. Those are some of the basic things. You don't we hear, oh, good morning, madam. Ah, good morning, madam. If she offers a hand, you give it. If she doesn't, you remain like this. Especially if a man, you can do anything. But if you're a gentleman, never offer a woman a hand first. You must greet, then if she offers, you follow. Okay, such things. St. Paul's was good until that fateful day when I was advised to try my talents elsewhere.
That was after how many years there?
That was after 3 years. Actually, I was advised around the senior 3. Around senior 3. But I had not been really, I wouldn't say that I was one of the most well-behaved boys in the seminary. I was a little bit stubborn. I was very small, but I was a little bit stubborn.
So that was the reason?
Yeah, it was a little bit stubborn, and I think it added up. You know, people have disappeared, you're among them. People are making noise, you're among them. People who is speaking vernacular, you're among them. People are doing, but somehow I was not very well behaved. Seminary standards, because I give you that story again. I wasn't, and I was also very inquisitive, which does not, which is not go well with the seminary. I've always been inquisitive. I've always wanted to look at other perspectives in life apart from what aside of what other people are looking at. I always want to question. I'm always questioning.
But did you have the idea of becoming a priest? Like
yeah, it develops. When you are there, it starts developing, and even when you have left, you sometimes say, maybe I could have become a priest. Yeah, but no, not really, because I remember one time I went to Kampala to visit my brother. I was with my brother who is a priest now. And my brother asked me, I was in senior 1 that time, whether I wanted to be a priest. And I said, no, I don't think I'm going to be a priest. Then really we had a very big quarrel again with my brother about why I was not going to. And I told him, so far, I don't feel that I'm going to be a priest. So I don't think the vocation was nurtured well. But my brother, I think, almost knew, because even that time when they asked him, he said, no, me, I'm going to be a priest. But me, I was arguing that I'm not going to be a priest. Then maybe my Kampala journey, the first one, it's also very interesting. I argued with my mother for a long time that I should go to Kampala. My mother has always wanted to be, she has always wanted to be in charge totally. So to convince her to go and visit my brother in Kampala took a lot of time, a lot of tricks from my sister until she gave in. And when she said I was going to Kampala, I couldn't even believe that she had accepted. I wished that I could have run off from home and hidden. I said she didn't change her mind. Anyway, time came and we boarded the 504. We boarded the bus to Mbarara and then we boarded the 504 Peugeot to Masaka.
What is a 504?
Peugeot, what you call Peugeot, but Peugeot, the car of a French car. It was very common that time. Then Peugeot 504. We got another one from Masaka to Kampala. The roads were very bad and we could move. By that time, things had started improving. I think that was in 1987. I could have been in senior one or... Yes, I was in senior one because I remember my brother took me to a place and again they offered us what? They offered us... What amused my brother were two things. We went to Christ the King for Mass, and I knew everything by heart in English, and I don't think for him he knew everything. So whenever they would say something at Mass in Christ the King Kampala, I would be responding. Then again, we also visited a friend, and this friend brought a fork and a knife. I was just using, and the plate was making noise. Afterwards, he put me aside and said, you man, how did you learn how to use those things? You looked very confident. I said, yeah, this is what we do in the seminar. Yeah. But of course, it was not without any hitch. There is a man who took me, he died, he's called Kaba, and he treated me very well. Took me to my brother's house. It was a Muzigo actually, but for me, I looked at it as if it was very nice. Actually, the house here was better. But in Kampala, you always think that, but what was there, of course, it was a TV which you didn't have here. You know, that time TV would be switched off. Hey, you TV at that time, you would switch it on at 6. And around 11 in the night, they switch off. They go and sleep. In the morning, and you wait the whole day until around 6. Then they open the TV. Yeah. Just a short time. So, but I was very amused about the TV. Then my brother took me to, after that church when I was in Express, the King took me to around the Kampala. He said, that is the parliament, or that is what. But for me, I was interested in only one thing, Karoli, the bird.
You had heard about
the Marabu stock. I had never seen a Karoli anywhere in my life. Yes. So after I had explained everything, you wanted the questions about parliament, about crested towers, you know, they are all around there. Nairo Mansion is at that time, Serena was Nairo Mansion. You answered the questions, but for me, my interest was that bird with a bag in front of it. So I asked him, but that bird now, what is the name of that bird? My brother almost killed me. Said, of all the things I've shown you, yes. You are just interested in a bird. Yes. That was the end of the tour. Yeah. We just went home. Yeah. Yeah, we just went home. We couldn't have it. We went home because of me asking about Karoli. Anyway, of course, we made up. He later even told me, this is Karoli. There was no Karoli in Kabale. I had never seen it. So that is the first time I left Kabale. Before I had gone to Mbarara, my sister was taking professions of being a nun in Chabiruko, and I had gone to Mbarara. So that's my first time I go to Kampala. So, and again, so from that time I somehow became addicted to Kampala. Every other year I would go to visit my brother. My sisters were also getting established there. So I would go and visit them. Yeah, so senior FOVAC, again, I remained there the whole the senior FOVAC. And I was in Butovere, then I started hearing about a school called Namiryango. So people were saying, this boy was very bright, he had gone to Namiryango. So that's when I started now getting interest. After being advised, I went to Gezi College Butovere. My one story about Butovere, I told you that when I reached Butovere, there was this man called Ambishego. Ambishego had been given this name because I think they had only one pirate home in the village. He was from Rwanda. And when he reached Butobere, every bed had a pillow. And Ambishego was very, very amused. He said, Abana bahano bona bine mishego. So, Mishego, yabe Mishego. So they called him Ambishego. Ambishego. No, akaja tabana bahano bona baranyama hamishego. So yaba Mishego. So they continued modifying it until it was called Ambishego. So Ambishego, I found he had started contesting to be the junior house captain of Bankosa 2. So when I reached Girls College of Butobere, by the way, I repeated senior 3. Why? Because I sat exams, and on the last two days, I started nose bleeding. I don't know from where I really bleed even these days. Started nasal bleeding badly. And then, but I think it was some Kawaraja I was taking. Because I would disappear with my friends and take some little bit of alcohol in Nyachiju. The people had been advised with.
From the seminary?
No. That time I was a freelancer. It was like purgatory. From the seminary, I'm at home looking for a place to go to Girls College Butobere. But of course, I got a little bit addicted to some little bit of Reika in Muyumbu. So I found that Waraji was very nice at that time because you could take it, and in the morning you didn't have a hangover. You would wake up the way you slept. So I started nasal bleeding, and I missed to do mathematics and English. When the exams came from Butobere, I had passed again, but they said if you don't pass English and mathematics, you can't be promoted. So I repeated senior 3, and I was always, again, I have always been a little bit defiant. I said, I know everything. I know everything. There is no reason why I should go to class. And in Butobere, it was easy for you not to go to class. It is you who would decide whether you want to go to class or not. But what would determine was how much you had done in your exams. If you don't go to class and pass exams, no problem. If you go and fail still, you go. So for me, I knew I would pass, and I actually dodged most of the classes, but I was attending sciences. That time I had already thought that my line was in sciences. So Ambishego stands, and people, when I reach there within 3 weeks, they tell me to stand against Ambishego. And I was not sure. I said, but Ambishego has been here for 3 years. How can I stand against somebody who is known? Me, I'm just a newcomer. I said, no, we are already seeing some potential in you. And then when time came for elections, I won very highly. Ambishego lost, and I became a junior house captain. I did very well, but of course, in Butobere, I was a volleyballer. I used to sing in a church. I was also the head of Catholics, and I would carry their bag to work, and I found there was almost no rule in Butobere, and that one, I think, brought me to the level. I think I like to be independent and doing what. So Butobere, it was independence. You could go out with a teacher, you walk down together and come back. No one would ask you why you have gone out, even if it is in the morning at 9 a.m. in the morning. Once in a while, and it happened once, if you were bright, the headmaster would follow you. But there was basically no rule. You go out anytime you want, you sleep if you don't want to attend classes. And that time, because of that freedom in Butobere, now from where I had come from, now I started even thinking it was a very necessary school. You see how life can be. In a seminary, I think there is a lot of people have put you down. But in Butobere, I find freedom, and then I say, but this is again too much freedom. So now I become like the best in Butobere because I really went out of school because I didn't find a reason why. At the same time, as much as I was dodging some lessons, but also most of the time I was in class, either reading on my own. So self-motivation increased in Butobere. And then one day a headmaster, of course we were walking as usual, going to town. The headmaster, I found my name on the what the headmaster wants to see. You see now the headmaster does even know me. Headmaster beat me thoroughly that I had escaped. So it was rare in Butobere to be beaten. He said, I have beaten you because for you, I know you're going to make me first grade. You are from the seminary, your mother brought you here, I know you, you must behave. Now, again, I toned down even more. So, okay, as the headmaster had predicted, time came for what? For choices. I put my first choice in Amiriango College, and I put my second choice, I don't remember, but I know in many other schools in Tale and others. And as headmaster had predicted, and as I knew, I came with the first grade. And I got the 16 in 6 that time. Again, it was a big deal. And I was admitted in Namyango on merit. I didn't pass through the window or the ventilator, as people used to say that time. So again, it was a big deal to be admitted to Namyango on merit. And that's how I entered my O level, my A level. Namyango was not easy. Again, I found another free school. Yes, Namyango was in between the seminary and Butobere. In A level, again, you were just like at university. We had our own hostels. If you decided not to go to class, that's your problem. No one is even going to look for you. I don't remember the headmaster or teacher coming to A level hostels. Namyango, I found that these schools, much as they say they teach, actually, they were not even teaching like Butobere. Because we finished senior 5 when we had not completed even the senior 5 syllabus of physics. Biology we had not completed. Even by the end of the senior 6, we have not completed the syllabus. So most of the students were self-motivated. There was a student called Benjamin Mujisha. Is now, he became an engineer, but now he's another things of insurance. He does insurance at the international level. Not small insurance of here, which insures small people like us. That's insurance of those huge companies coming here, what's the insurance, those big things. This is Nairobi. But Benja had finished back house 1 and back house 2 by the end of senior 5. He had read the whole of biology. He was not taking PCB, he was taking PCM. But he was saying like, should I take PCM or PCB? He had coached Roberts and finished it. He had finished physics by the end of senior 5 on his own, either through teachers or himself reading. So that's how motivated people were. Now, these things of Butobere saying, let us go and this teacher has misbehaved, let's go and beat him, it was not there. So people were just misbehaved and reading their own books. Now, the story I want to give you in Namyango is that things have not always been easy. And when I was in senior 5, there was this chemistry teacher called Isat. Isat was teaching us organic chemistry. That was the beginning. Now Isat comes in our class and says, in his Itesoti accent, say, it is not because your uncle is a doctor that you must be a doctor. This is a time for reckoning. If I give you this test, you either remain in this class or go, this class is too big, I can't teach it. People even run before that test to go to arts. Say, yes, the class is reducing. I want you to be doctors when you are motivated. If you want to do veterinary medicine, are you ready to run after a cow? Hold it by its tail, insert a thermometer. Think about it. So he was intimidating us. The test comes, and ISAT wants any person who scores, it was out of 20. And he said, anyone who scores 10 and below must leave his class and go and do another combination. But here Yama had come from Mutobere with a lot of hope, knowing that I was going to do medicine after doing PCB. What comes when the marks I get at the end of the paper, I got 4 out of 20. So I was cooked. That I said, no, I either leave this school or remain in this class. So I decided to be bold and go to his class still. But of course, even those people with 9 had disappeared, those people with 8, with 6. So when he looked in the class, I said, aha, this is the size of the class I want. I want courageous people in my class. So he didn't even mind about the marks we had got. So had I left his class because I got 4 out of 20, I would be nowhere. Then mock comes. Mock comes, I get 7 points, and I was very, very disappointed. I even wrote home and told people that you people don't even come to see me. I feel like, I think I even I was depressed at that time. I saw my life going. But anyway, I continued working hard. I've never been a person to give up. And later I got 14 points. Again, those were very many points that time. Don't forget about the 20 points of these days. 14 were just like the 19 of today. So, there was a new university which was coming up, Mbarara University, and the people had gone there from my school in St. Paul's. In fact, one of the pioneers was called Mugisha Tom. Very, very bright man, and very intelligent, very smart. He was our role model. So he went to Mbarara University, and somehow I started thinking that maybe I could also be there. So I put my first choice in Makerere, and I put the second choice in Mbarara. And I applied for so many other things, education and so on and so forth. So when time comes, I find I've been taken to Mbarara. I had missed Makerere by, I think, 0.1 max. But that is the side of the story. And I think God wanted me to be in Mbarara. I had a very good time at MAST. I was chosen as the class president on the first day. I was, again, there was the freshers ball. I was chosen as the chief fresher. I gave the speech on behalf of the freshers. I led the Catholic Church. I was the head of Catholic Church in my third year. I was deputy in second year. I continued leading it, and I rejuvenated Ngonga as it is. Namiliango na Magunga old boys. The station had died somehow. We rejuvenated it. It has never looked back. And I was the chairman also of that association. I continued and finished, and again I wanted to leave Mbarara because really I thought I had stayed in Mbarara for a long time. When the time for internship comes, I had put Mbarara third choice. Again they put me back to Mbarara. Fate would continue bringing me back. Did my internship, finished, worked in Mbarara again. That time it was Ivan was under Mbarara. And when I reach again, they give me to be the head of a deputy medical superintendent. Even the Kagongo, even the hospital in Kagongo. So
That was a hospital by
yeah, so when I was there, I started training volleyball and being the head of co-curricular activities. So I was the head of creativity. We had 2 plays which we even took around Western Uganda. We had the volleyball, we had netball, and I coached the girls team. It was the best in the region at that time. I think I had 6 caps by the time I left. No one was beating us in Western region, really. Here, those were just our babies. And then I brought a national cup in 2000, and I think that was 2002. yeah, in the national games. So I had some good achievements in Ibanda, and I usually joke that had I stood in Ibanda that time as MP, I would have won easily. Especially had they cut off like Ibanda municipality, I would have won easily. Because by the time John Biabagambi came, I was like a person taking him around. Then this man, Professor, the one who was at Makerere, he was also standing. He was the one taking him around. I was somehow very well known in Ibanda and even beyond, because at my epitome, I used to be a coach in 5 schools. I used to coach Ibanda Nursing, Ibanda Secondary School, Ibanda PTC, St. John's Chani, and Chibubura. So we would go around coaching and building talent. There are many people who still call me coach when I pass through in Kampala.